Established in pioneer days as a bathing resort, Black Rock at the edge of the Great Salt Lake is still a pleasure mecca for thousands who come to bathe and thrill in the waters of this inland sea. And believe it or not, you float like a cork. It is impossible to sink due to the high salt content of this briny ocean. Its waters are 7 times heavier than the Atlantic or Pacific and contain over 22% salt. So salty that 3 quarts of its water will boil down to 1 quart of fine, pure salt. One need not know how to swim to experience the buoyant sensation of tossing about in the waters of this weird lake, which has no outlet. Its only animal life is a minute shrimp that scuttles over the crystal precipitates at the bottom. Swimmers are refreshed and invigorated, even though their bodies are caked with a thin crust of fine salt. Surpassingly beautiful Salt Air Pavilion with its Moorish architecture lures thousands of visitors offering pleasure and recreational thrills. Dancing on the largest open-air floor in the world and easy access to the Great Salt Lake by way of the Putt-Putt Railway, which works overtime carrying sightseers and salt-laden swimmers. Here, too, the waters of the Great Salt Lake provide seasoning enough for all the hard-boiled eggs in existence. Giant pumping plants syringe the brine through flumes, forcing the water into a vast solar evaporating pond. So immense are the salt beds that the human figure walking across them appears pygmish by comparison. Salt is an industry in Utah, and major companies work the year round, supplying the demands of the world for this table necessity. Utah highways are pleasure ways, and this time lead us to Ogden, second largest city in the state. New Pineview Dam and Reservoir in Ogden Canyon does its part in creating expansive farms and orchards. And even the canyon itself is spanned by water coursing through a catenary pipeline. Nourishment that works hand in hand with sun and Utah mountain air to produce barley and wheat for the mills of the Beehive State. Here, plow and harrow have cut the earth. As far as the eye can see, waving stems of golden grain give promise of an abundant harvest. Utah's ranges supply ample pasturage for thousands of Hereford and other cattle that graze and fatten on succulent grass. White-faced beeves keep alive and nurture the spirit of the Old West. Glowing embers, white heat, branding irons, cowhands still ride the Utah Trail. Great artists have been at a loss to properly catch on canvas the simple beauty of sheep serenely grazing. Woolly wanderers, almost 1 million of them, slowly moving from place to place on intimate terms with the natural beauty that surrounds them. Sheep raising is a major Utah industry, yielding more than $20 million annually. Leaving Ogden, western terminus of the Rio Grande Railroad, we are thrilled again with the prospect of going places. This time to the throne of a desert empire, Salt Lake City. More than 90 years ago, covered wagons freighted with courageous men and women forced balky oxen over tortuous desert routes. What a contrast. Steel-covered wagons powered with the might of thousands of steam oxen thunder over flashing rails. Carefree, speedy transportation, safeguarded all the way by cyclopean green and red eyes. Ever-alert signal towers, the mechanical mounted police of the steel highways. On we roll, past fertile acres shaded by towering peaks of the Wasatch Range. On to Salt Lake City, miracle metropolis that rose from dead desert sands. Our objective is just a matter of moments. Air brakes gently slow our train, while alert porters make ready to empty passenger-crowded vestibules into the busy Rio Grande station. Salt Lake City, Commercially and culturally, the lodestone of the West, a tribute to the foresight and wisdom of its founder, Brigham Young. Majestically situated on a rolling slope, Utah's magnificent granite capital is a fitting symbol of this great commonwealth. Famous Eagle Gate makes a striking arch to the portal which led to Brigham Young's private estate, while close by stands a bronze of him, surmounting the Pioneer Monument, a massive granite pedestal. Sculptured by Dolan, the statue represents Brigham Young in a characteristic pose and is an excellent likeness of him in his prime. Everything here bears the impress of this brilliant man. And our trip would not be complete without visiting the Emigration Canyon Monument, marking the spot where travel-stained wagons halted on July 24th, 1847, to permit their leader, Brigham Young, to rise from his sick bed in a wagon box and exclaim, "Is the place." Presently, the Mormon Tabernacle, seating 8,000 people, is so acoustically perfect that a pin dropped may be heard the length of the auditorium. The great temple is a remarkable example of pioneer architecture. 4 days after his arrival in the desert wilderness, Brigham Young, while walking, suddenly stopped and, striking his cane into the parched soil, said, "Here we will build the temple of our God." The golden-covered statue of the angel Moroni proclaims the restoration of the gospel. Beautiful gardens surround the temple, and most prominent is this cactus reproduction of a beehive, emblem of Utah and haven of the Deseret or honeybee, symbolic of industry and thrift. Each day at noon, except Sunday, visitors are treated to inspiring organ recitals in the tabernacle. Here, Dr. Frank Asper, renowned artist, interprets the works of the great masters on this historical organ, which contains 7,000 pipes. One could go on almost forever wandering through these friendly grounds, replete with symbols of Mormon history. No story ever told is so utterly amazing and dramatic as that miracle of 1848, which prompted this memorial to seagulls, the only monument ever erected to bird life in America. Picture, if you can, pioneers rejoicing over the prospect of harvesting their first crop. Without warning, hordes of crickets start devouring every green thing. Pioneers fight to save the precious grain. Discouraged, they offer prayer. Suddenly, the heavens are filled with flocks of seagulls who devour the crickets, and so a column is erected in remembrance of the mercy of God to the Mormon pioneers. Centrally located are bronze statues of Joseph Smith, the prophet, and his brother Hiram. It is related that, as a boy, Joseph Smith saw a vision, and as a result, founded the Mormon religion in Fayette, New York, in April 1830. This is Heber J. Grant, 7th President of the Church of Jesus Christ of the Latter-day Saints.
I am delighted always to welcome visitors to Salt Lake City. I like to recall it was stated of old that the house of the Lord should be erected in the tops of the mountains, and people of many nations gathered there, and that the desert would be made to blossom as the rose. When Brigham Young led our Mormon people across the plains to the slopes of the Wasatch Range, he looked upon the desert surrounding the great Salt Lake and cried out, "This is the place." The Lord's house has been built here. A desert has been redeemed. People of many nations have gathered here. I was born and raised in this valley and was a passenger on the first Rio Grande train into Salt Lake City more than half a century ago. The passing years have strengthened the thought I had then that these fertile valleys of the Rockies are a tribute to the industry, sacrifice, thrift, and courage of the pioneer men and women who founded this land of bountiful beauty. For the strength of the hills, we bless thee, our God, our Father's God.
To fully appreciate Salt Lake City and understand its unique historical background requires far more time than the few brief hours we have enjoyed. ours amongst people friendly and hospitable. But we face the inflexible reality of railroad schedules, and it's back on board. This time, the panoramic, eastbound over the Moffat Tunnel scenic shortcut. Dreams do come true. Brigham Young's prophecy is fulfilled. Utah is the Desert Empire.